All right, good evening, everybody. My name is Navin. Welcome to another episode of At the Table by Urban Forex. Today, here with me, I have Lucas tuning in from Malaysia.
Hey everyone, how's it going?
Hey, hello, hello. We have Armo tuning in from Thailand.
Hello, everyone. What's up?
What's up? What's up? And we have Ian all the way from Australia.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, hey. All right, all right. So today's topic is about, not just my experience, but I also would be curious to know what are your experiences when it comes to technical analysis. So, in the webinar, I'll be speaking a lot about my experiences, but for this podcast, I'm curious on what are your experiences for technical analysis and how has it evolved over time. So, Lucas, you want to, take it from here?
Yeah. So, to me, technical analysis means being able to understand price action, and that piece is not just about drawing lines, putting on indicators, stuff like that. It takes a lot of time and a lot of hard work to actually try and master the art of understanding price action.
Right. And it's funny you talk about that, because when you say drawing simple lines and stuff, and I spent years doing that, back in the day when I started with technical analysis, and I think it's a journey that everyone takes, sort of like, it's like, well, where do you begin? Well, let's start with the easiest thing. And well, my neighbor or my dog or someone has taught me that just connect these lows and you'll have a nice horizontal line, and there you have it. That's trading. And then I'm like, oh, I can do this. It's like, I can draw a line. Why not? So it's very fascinating. Very, very fascinating. Yeah.
I guess the difference now is if I listen to my neighbor and do that, I think you'll be, on my ass.
Very correct.
Well, it's many years down the line now, so you should know how to. You should be way more premium or senior to that type of knowledge now. Okay, well, what about you, Ian? What's your take on technical analysis now versus the past?
Well, not to piggyback on the same thing, but I mean, I think that's where it starts. When I started, just like everybody else, it came down to just drawing, not just lines, but shapes on the chart. And I quickly learned, I think, over time, because you're always learning. I'm still learning to this day. It's a game of learning, essentially. And then as you learn, you put more together. Like, so technical analysis doesn't necessarily have to be just lines. There's lots of other advanced things, like I know we use correlation, and there's just other topics that go into technical analysis. It's a whole story, essentially, on the chart. Putting it all together. It's not just like a channel and stuff. It's the whole thing kind of put together, and it's a constant thing that you pick up new things. Almost, maybe they were there the whole time and you just missed them, but I mean, there always seems to be something new you're picking up. So
absolutely. Yeah, I like how you said that correlation also falls under technical analysis, and that's very true. It's a much more advanced thing to go into, but it does come along the lines of technical analysis, especially how you look at it, because it could always be argued many things could be fundamental analysis, technical analysis, but the way we go about things will always be technical. Okay, for the most part.
And even just like watching how price moves, even just from a psychological point of view, whether it's fast or slow, slowing down, and things like that maybe get overlooked sometimes, but it's still all technical ways of looking at the chart.
Right.
It's just a little bit different than, again, drawing a shape or a pattern or things like that. So there's a lot to it.
Yeah, I think I guess anything that's not fundamental based, should fall underneath technical analysis, right?
Right. Well, what about you? What is your take on this, Armo? How do you, being around in the industry for quite a long time as well, how would you say the industry has evolved? Not just yourself and looking at technical analysis. How would you say the entire industry has evolved to, let's say, 5 years ago on how people were probably looking at technical analysis, what was their main go-to concern versus right now? What has the market evolved to? What's the new fashion now?
Good question. Well, back in the day, it was all indicators, and then it was price action, and then technical analysis is a part of price action, and volumes, which is also part of technical analysis, has started to play a bigger role now, at least in forex, because previously it was a little bit harder to get data for that in forex. So yeah, I think that's, at least for me personally, that's the main difference. I'm not always looking so much at what the rest of the industry is doing. And to be honest, when I first heard about technical analysis, I thought, what's the point? Because when it was explained to me what it was, okay, this is the movement of the price,
right,
plus volumes, and that volumes I hadn't been exposed yet at that time. So to me, it's like, okay, the movement of the price, that's cool and all, but give me those lines on my chart that I can draw, like support and resistance, trend lines, the stuff that Lucas doesn't like now. And like, give me that and I can do something with that.
Right.
And then you explained to me, well, actually, it's better to read the whole story, use the technical analysis and figure out based on what has happened. So on the history, figure out what is likely to happen in the future. And I thought, okay, using history to get an outlook on the future, I like history, so that can work for me. And then later on, you also explained you introduced me to volumes, and that added a whole other thing to it, like a huge thing actually, to make the reading of the story more comprehensive.
Right.
So yeah, that's my view on it basically. What the industry is really up to at the moment, I'm not too sure.
Yeah, I don't per se, maybe we ourselves have evolved so much that our search queries are not the same as they used to be, obviously.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so, but it doesn't mean the indicators have disappeared. The trading systems have disappeared. In fact, they're bigger than ever before.
Yeah.
The desire for the right indicator, the best indicator, the indicator that makes money, and the only indicator that makes money. It's the fascination to still solve the problem is still there. That's like the bottom line, right?
Yeah.
Whether we go through technical analysis, fundamental analysis, a combination of both, or astrology, whatever you want to call it, we're trying to solve the rhythm of how do I predict this Christmas tree in front of my screen that's like green and red lights everywhere. Like, how do I
solving the puzzle?
Yeah. So like
that's the whole fun part.
That is the fun part, and it's so much fun actually. But it is not fun during the early learning processes when you're just trying to do the same rhythm over and over again, and you're winning some, you're losing some, you're winning some, you're losing some, and there's no growth anywhere. That's the deadly part, which is like, let me try it today. Oh, that didn't work. Let me try it now. Oh, that didn't work. What are you trying? That little logic of what are you trying? Do you know what you're dealing with? And the average person is, I tried, didn't work, switch. That's also very dangerous because then you would never learn, So it's this concept of, oh, I don't want to do fundamental analysis. I don't got time for that. It's so much stuff to read. Technical analysis, I watched a YouTube video. The guy says, just draw a line from here to here. I can do that. I was a pro at drawing lines in preschool.
You still are. I believe in you.
Like now I draw circles on whiteboards, so and the evolution has come so far in technical analysis. A huge wave of people are still entering this industry with the idea of technical analysis is easy to understand because my brain understands logic. And that's where they're all introduced to the industry of, like, you see these green bars, green means buy, red means sell. And even if no one says that verbally to them, the brain automatically deciphers it like that. If it's going up, that means it must go up more. If it's going down, that means it will go down more. And fast forward, 10 years of experience, you'd be like, if it's green, do not buy. If it's red, do not sell. At least in trading, in the Forex industry, it means almost the opposite. And that takes a while to understand, and understand that there are times when you can do that. There are times when most of the time, you're not supposed to do that.
Exactly.
So it's a very interesting thing. So if we talk about technical analysis as a whole, and if I give you a little background of 15 plus years of how long I've been in this, and technical analysis was the whole thing of there'd be a new indicator and there'd be so much hype around it. Now, I'm talking about times when Euro USD had like 5 pip spread. When I say stuff like that, I realize, man, I'm old. It's the year doesn't matter anymore. It's when the spread was 5 pips. So when you can imagine how brokers compete with zero spreads now, and I was there when it was 5 pip spreads, and we were all like, I got the best broker in town, Yeah. So it was like that. And at that time, it was all about the new indicator, the new this, the new that. And everyone would dive into it because social media didn't really have much information to bombard you with.
Yeah.
So if there was one person who was bombarding whatever avenue of information there was, then you would only have that information. And that actually allowed a lot of focus, because you don't have to do one thing and saying, oh, that didn't work, so let me try this one. Oh, that didn't work, so let me try this one. If there's options, you're constantly hopping. Back in the day, there was less options that were releasing very seldomly. Okay, now it's support and resistance. Hey, we're all about support and resistance now. The whole wave, 6 months of support resistance, nonstop. And then you start to learn the nuisances of support resistance. Now it's all about trend lines. Then that thing. Then, so it starts evolving, and all these indicators start coming up, and you start seeing indicators that you drop indicators, and those indicators come back to life. A few years later, they're like, no, this indicator with this setting on this time frame, golden. It's like, genius. Why didn't I think of that? So I started getting to that. So it is only when you take that knowledge, you practice, you play with it, and that hunger is on the other end of it, saying, I still haven't cracked that fundamental information of how do I solve this?
Yeah.
And the whole process is, but I'd like to solve this with technical analysis because I understand technical analysis. Whether I'm doing it right or wrong, that's a whole different thing, but I at least understand it. When it comes to fundamental stuff, and I turn on the news and I try to understand what the economists are saying, I'm like, gibberish. It's like, I have no idea what the guy is saying. 5 minutes later, another guy comes on the TV and he's just the complete opposite.
It almost feels like the guy on the TV doesn't even know what himself is saying.
Oh yeah. It sounded like college all over again. When you go and you have a nice professor who's never worked in that industry ever before. It sounded like that, like constantly. So
yeah. And then the market does the opposite thing, and then they just say, oh, and it looks like the market reacted in the least expected way.
Correct. To a point where a lot of the analysts I used to follow started changing their behaviors by saying, so what I'm expecting is prices to rise from this price all the way to this price. On the contrary, if prices decline, I expect them to further decline from here to this price. It's like,
no
hey,
shit.
you're missing the sideways market. You've chosen the top and the bottom. What's left? Like, you just, I don't know what you're doing on TV. What are you telling me? You're telling me the market can go up or it can go down. No shit. So that's the luxury of an analyst. He can just come up and say whatever he wants. But as a trader, we start to realize we don't have that luxury. We need to pick a side. And we need to be right majority of the time. And when we are right, we also need to scale it. And when we are wrong, we need to find a way to reduce it or scale down. That loop is so deadly. It's so deadly. That's the thing that takes time. But if I look back, and if I ask you guys how, even if I have you guys, look back, all of you guys listening in, and you think about something simple as support and resistance, has it truly disappeared?
No.
No, it's still there.
No.
Has
We
trend
still use
lines
it.
disappeared?
No.
No, they have their they all have their values at importance levels. So they're still there and they're still used.
Yeah, one thing I've noticed, actually, just talking about all this from when
Yeah.
I started, is that it seems to go in cycles. Like, to me, it's like one thing will be trendy for a bit, then the next thing will be trendy for the next little bit, and so
Yeah.
on and so forth. And it'll even come right back around, almost like the fashion industry, how some certain clothes are hot one year, then the next decade, but then they'll get recycled again. And it's because people just keep hopping back and forth, and and they can't put it all together, so they'll just kind of keep going through it. That's kind of what I found, when you start
Yeah.
searching. And
well, I really don't know how the world would be in bell bottoms again, but
maybe not.
But 80s haircuts will always be the best. It's just too bad I can't have it anymore.
Like, yeah, if they bring haircuts back, I'm not participating because I that's too late for me now. Like, yeah, but there are there are cycles in this. At least we know in the markets there are cycles, there are fads, there's stuff like this. Now, if you guys don't mind, I can go deeper into this a little bit. If I take you and I say, okay, all this knowledge and experience you have gone through, imagine it like buildings. Okay, they're all the different buildings. You go into one building and then you're exploring the building as much as you can. Then you're like, I don't want to live here. You come out of the building, you go into the next building and you start exploring that building. You're like, yeah, I spent less time in this building, but I don't like it. Let me try something else. I don't want to stay here. Now, I put you on a plane and you're over the city now, and you're looking at all the buildings you have been in. Okay, you're looking at it as an overview now, and you're looking at all the things that you have been in. We can look at, oh, that building was nice. I remember how I used to play in that building, and then I actually let it go because I didn't like it. That building, I made some friends, and we were hanging around that building for a while before I left that building. You have memories, you have recollection of each thing that you've learned and played with. But when you fly over, it is only when you fly over and a bird's eye view and everything you've done is when you can start to sit down and understand, but I still haven't found a home yet. And in trading, that's the answer is, but did you crack trading yet? Right? It's so then that's when you start realizing that it's not about an indicator. It's not about the home. It's about, we don't know what we're looking for, but we think this is what we need. I don't know if that makes sense. We're constantly on this journey of looking for something we think we need, but we have no idea if we need it or not. Hence the constant looking into, let's try this building now. Let's try that building now. But we don't know what we're trying to do. Are we trying to settle down? Are we trying to build something there? What are we trying to do? And if I take you even further up and you look at it even from a bird's eye view, what's the goal of trading? Let's start with basics, even more basics. What's the goal of investing?
Make money.
Make money. But what does the word invest mean? Are you making money out of nothing?
You put money into something and that something makes you money.
Okay, good. So you're not making money out of nothing because that's a job. A job makes money out of nothing, right? But when you're making money out of money on itself, that's investing, which means if I put my money here, will I get more back?
Yeah.
That is a fundamental basis of all money-making machines. If I put money somewhere, will I make more? You take that into trading. Trading is a specialization of that art. It's saying, I want to do that, with pristine accuracy. But that's the problem with technical analysis, is if you do not specialize in it, then you're messing around with the concept of investing, because you're constantly saying, let me try this. Oh, I failed. Let me try that. Oh, I failed. Okay, let me try something else. You never specialize. If you never specialize, it is safer to be an investor than it is to be a trader. And that concept took a very long time to sink in. A very, very long time to sink in. It's like, if you want to be a trader, you need to specialize. You have to be someone that can look in the mirror and be like, you're one of the best, period.
Yeah.
If you can't say that now, or you don't have a goal or desire to say that, it is safer to be an investor. It is safer to be an investor. You will make more money. It'll be a lot more easier. It'll be more comfortable. You might even save a lot of gray hairs. And that's for sure. That's for sure.
Or hairs in general.
Or hairs in general. There you go.
No
The bathroom will not be clogged anymore. You know? Yeah. So, does that make sense for technical analysis? So even though technical analysis is easy, the goal of technical analysis is to solve the investing problem with a little bit more accuracy. If you try to solve the investing problem with a little bit more accuracy, then you can't do it fluff and puff, huff and puff, dibby dibby. I don't know what words to use. Like, you can't do like jiggy jiggy. Like, you can't keep it weird. You have to be good. You have to be good. And that is the underlying basis of, at least it's easy to learn. You just have to do a lot of it.
Yeah.
That's it. It's not that difficult. It's actually very easy to learn. Just do a lot of it.
Yeah.
Like
read the story over and over and over again.
Yes. And the more you do it, the more things stick out. The more you do it, the more things stick out. You just have to do a lot. A lot. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
100%. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So what we're going to do now, as it's 8 a.m. New York City time here, I'm in London right now, and it's very cold. It's like, so what we're going to do.
Thoughts and prayers.
Sorry?
Thoughts and prayers.
Oh, yeah. I wanted to see a different place, and yeah, well, it's cold. So, and they're talking about Omicron, so I got to get back to Dubai before they lock this place down. So if they do lock it down, then London is going to be like very early and cold. Yeah. So what we're going to do now is, those of you guys who are here live, there's a lot of you guys here live. What we're going to do is we're going to convert this now into a webinar, so you guys can stay on board. Those of you guys who are listening in through your podcast stations, if you want to attend or watch the recording of the webinar that is about to happen, the link will be in the description, that is along with this podcast.
Yeah.
So as always, again, guys, thank you so much for listening in. And for you guys here on the panel, Lucas, Armo, and Ian, it's always a pleasure to have you guys. Once again, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks.